Hey all, Board Game Rants here where you'll find everything solo, tabletop gaming, and more. And here is a solo perspective review for you on Escape Plan, Vital Lacerda game. Let's go have a look and then we'll come back here and discuss it, shall we? So in Escape Plan, we are thieves. We had a successful bank heist. And me and my fellow thieves we're laying low, enjoying the good life. And we've got our cash hidden away in areas around the rest of the city and businesses and whatnot. However, the cops have made a break in the case, and all hell breaks loose. In fact, we start turning on each other, and the SWAT's coming in. The feds are coming in, shutting down the city, shutting down the exits. We have 3 days to get out of here. So how do we do that? Well, it all starts with these two tiles. And on these two tiles, it so happens to be randomly generated. We got the fuzz. We got some feds represented by the red and the locals represented by the blue. And lastly, they're the only other type of police officer or law enforcement is SWAT, represented in black. Now, you don't have to remember that necessarily, just the colors are what matter. And as long as you know that you can see the colors, you're going to be able to do what you need to do. Sometimes you're going to be better at escaping local police than you are escaping FBI, etc. Just depends on how you do during the game. You are going to need to avoid them because we're going to be running around the city, and we would all start here. And again, this would be being played solo. And we have here Sandra, who's going to be an AI. And we have a crooked cop, Lieutenant Costa, getting in our way. She's going to be chasing us down. He's going to be chasing us down. Here's us. We're going to be going around the city trying to gather up as much money as possible and then making an exit, hopefully making our exit on day 3. That's going to be represented over here by this track. Each day we're going to have a round, and then we're going to see how notorious we are or not, depending on our actions. Then another round. We'll check out our notoriety level again. And another round, and then to the notoriety as well. Then we get into the day and dawn, and you have to have gotten extra actions to be able to utilize that. But everyone's going to get 3 actions a day. And there's going to be 3 days or rounds. After the end of day 3, you have to have exited in order to have a chance to win the game. Then you count up your score and see if you hauled out more money than Lieutenant Costa. And that's who we have here. Lieutenant Costa is represented by this solo board. Right here in this little section here, we have Sandra, who is another AI run by a deck of cards, like an Automa style. And same with Lieutenant Costa. It's going to be run by flipping over cards. And then here we have our board. So this can represent how we're doing out there, how many wounds we've taken trying to avoid the fuzz. And we have ways to heal ourselves if we're running from the cops, taking hits. And then here's where a little extra action token. These are nice little inset boards. We've got our income track here. And our income, should we be able to generate it, which we will at the beginning of each day. And so it says 9 right there. So at the beginning of the game, we start off with 9 money. And however, as we start visiting businesses and safe houses out there, we're going to be removing cubes, which will lower our income, but it will be increasing the amount of money we are getting out of the city. That's the whole point, is to go around to the key locations, get the most money out before we take off. And each person is going to draw, well, in this case, playing solo, you draw an escape plan card, and this tells you how much money you have at the different locations around the city. So I have, $70 invested in the casino, 80 invested in the bar. The restaurant, if I get to the restaurant, I'm going to earn income based on the highest, or I should say the lowest exposed number there. So I'd get $8 in income if that's where this board was at once I got to the restaurant, for instance. And then over time, if If I got to the gym, well, maybe more cubes have been removed from this board because I've visited more locations, and now I'm down to just getting 6 income. So each time you visit a location, you can only visit it once, you're going to be putting a cube out there, and that's going to represent either getting income or withdrawing your money out of your investment in that business. And this card is going to be drawn out of a little stack of cards to give you a random. You'll notice in each subset, so in the casino bar restaurant subset, there's a total of $150 to be withdrawn and income possibly. And same in the gym, $150 in this little subset here. And in the safe houses, those 3 buildings there's another total of $150 to be taken out and possible income. And if you visit all 3 of a subset, you're going to get a little bonus down here, maybe an extra action. And everyone's cards are going to be different. When you draw a card now over here, Lieutenant Costa has his own and is going to be going around visiting areas as well. And we don't get to see where he makes his money at. I'm going to flip this over at the end of the game. And then he's going to score similar to how we score. And then you would win or lose the game based on how much money. If you pulled out more money out of the city than he did, we win the game. So out in the city, there's plenty of places to explore. And in the beginning of the game, you start off here at the hospital. And there's a little grocery store D. There's an A, B, and a C out there. And then there's going to be all of these. But part of the game is to, each round, these stacks of tiles on the back of them, so this is stack B. There's a stack A, B, C, D. And each round, each day, you're going to take off the top, put it out on this board. Your city is going to be evolving and developing as you play the game. And then that's when you're going to start seeing where, and you'll have the option. You can put out certain spots strategically as you explore the city out there. You can sort of make the city as you play the game, which has everything to do with whether or not you're going to win, because you're going to have to create, as you move around the city, you're going to have to watch where you put tiles and make sure you can get the most effective movement that will help you get to where you need to go and also avoid the police. So after a stretch of time, or maybe even after the first day, you're going to be placing tiles out there, and your board might look a little like this. Ta-da! So I took the 4 tiles that were over there and put 2 there, 2 there. And when you place tiles on them, they have these little symbols that tell you what type of building you can put on there. That's the safe house symbol. This is the business symbol. And a big part of the strategy of this game is as tiles come out, which you can't really control, but you can control when they come out, where you put them. You have to attach them in a certain way, and you want to, so you can really scooch your way around the town most effectively, which I'll show you here in just a sec. But you'll notice that over here, here's the businesses. This area represents businesses, and I put out the gym and the little art place. And over here, I put out Safe House 1 and 2. So yeah, art gallery and the gym, and I put those there for very important reasons, as depending on your strategy. So that has been set up. Also, I'm keeping in mind too, I forgot to put these out, but there's gangs that you can hire out there in the city. You can hire these gangs to help you get around discreetly and set up distractions and stuff. So that's another part of the game that you can utilize to get around as you need. And you'll notice over here, I reset, just flipped over the next. There's 3 tiles in each A, B, C, D stack. So I flipped over the next, randomly drew from this bag to put out the new officers there. And the other part of each round you're going to do is there's a little kind of a camouflage stack over here, of exit cards. So there's 3 exits, and by the end of the game, 2 of them are going to be closed. And so you don't really know. You draw 2 cards each time, and each card is going to represent one of the exits. And each exit there's 2 cards for each exit. So it turns out, day 1, I drew the 2 exit cards for number 3. So that means when exit number 3 comes out, it's going to be closed. I cannot escape the city out of exit 3. Now sometimes you draw cards and you draw like a 3 and a 2, and they're both still open and could remain open. But day 2, I'm going to draw another 2 exit cards, and day 3, I'm going to draw 1 exit card. And so again, at the end of the game, that's going to end up being 1 exit that we can escape. Now I see that exit 1 and 2 have shown up here, and I'll be putting out these tiles day 2, but I don't see exit 3. Exit 3 is going to be one of the last tiles, and which is kind of cool. Well, I don't know. It's not exactly kind of cool because there's some advantages to visiting a closed exit because maybe you've stashed some money there. But anyway, the tiles come out, and eventually when all the tiles come out, you will have all the buildings out and all the exits will be available, and you'll have determined what exit you have to get out of to have a chance of winning the game. And what you'll be doing from then on is moving around the board, and that's going to increase and decrease your notoriety. And there's represented by this track. When you increase your notoriety, it's going to, whoever's the most notorious is generally going to be able to go first each the next day. Also, whoever's the most notorious, it's going to unlock stuff for you that's good, but it also really has the cops chasing you. And so there's definitely some disadvantages. Also, too, the more notorious you are at the end of the game, when you escape, you will get minus money. You'll get subtracted from your total at the end of the game if you're really notorious. So if you keep your notoriety low, or you go up and then there's ways to bring it back down, that can increase your score there. So moving around this board is a little bit of a venture, in where you'll get 3 movement points, and you're going to be able to kind of, you can move on to a section. You know, anytime you switch from one area type to another, it's 1 movement point, and you get 3 each turn. So I might move here. That's 1 movement point. Now I can move anywhere, even though these tiles are separate. I can move anywhere on the same type of landscape, and it doesn't cost me anything additional. But as soon as I move off that on a new type, that's another movement point. So in that way, maybe I would, and then there's also subways. So subways are a cool way too of traveling a little faster. And so in that way, I might say go, 1, 2, and visit the safe house. Oh, I'm at the safe house. I'm going to pull out my income. I'd get $8 because of my income where it's at. Well, first I would take this and I would put it actually on the little board representing that I visited that place, because you can only visit a place once per game. So maybe I'd go to the safe house first, pull out some money. The next turn, I might move to the subway and zip right over here, take the subway, get over to the gym, pull my money out of there. Then I might, next turn, this has a little F. In the water, you have to have either a helicopter kind of take you across, or be able to go through the sewers, or if any water tiles are associated with one that has this F, which means ferry, you can take the ferry. So I could take the ferry from the gym. We have an island gym here, over to the art gallery, pull my money out of there. So you'll be moving around the board, and as you move around the board, you're going to have to do things to avoid the police, and in that way you're going to be able to use tokens here to avoid certain types, the FBI, SWAT, avoid locals. This will help you move things off of tiles so you can avoid them. If you can't avoid them, you're going to start taking wounds. As you take wounds, you're going to score less points at the end of the game. Also, if you take too many wounds, eventually, you get detained, and you're going to have to grab a little handcuff card and start covering up spaces here. Spaces here on your board have to do with contacts. You can get contacts that give you abilities to have a gang, run defense for you, or you can have a ninja help you avoid certain types of police, or etc. So these contact cards, when you get them, they would go out here, and you have to get these little asset tiles off your board and over here, which if you activate them, spend the money appropriate to activate them, then you get to do their action. This one would heal me for 1, so I'd be able to heal a little bit and flip this over. It's going to be worth $10 for me at the end of the game. And so there's ways to pull these asset tiles off the board here and put them over there so you can actually use them. You can't use them while they're here. And as you pull them off your board here, then you're going to be able to put more and more contact cards, as I was saying, down here. And up here, we've got other tiles that can help you. In these safe houses, you can hire fixer. You can buy fixer tiles, and these will help you in your endeavors to try to escape the city. Also, if you visit stores, You visit the store, you can, and if you have the right key, you can get keys at the safe house, or yeah, safe houses. You can get keys, and then it can help you unlock these lockers. And you can buy things that'll help protect you as you're trying to run from the police. You just cost this money down here. You can get gas cans, which will help you move an extra space. You know, you always have 3 movement points, but each gas can would give you an extra movement point if you really need to make a break for it. And at the end of the game, you need to get to that last open exit, get yourself out of Dodge, and then you're going to tally up your scores and see if you beat Lieutenant Costa. Vito Lacerda is something else. You know, he creates these games, these Euro games. This one's a little different. This one's different than the normal worker placement, heavy worker placement, thematic thing that he does. This is still Euro game. But there's not that worker placement to it. It's just a totally different vibe than I've experienced with this game. Theme comes through again, just so clearly. I don't know that really any Euro game designer so vividly brings theme into their game so meaningfully than Vito Lacerda. It's one of the things I love about what he does, not to mention just the heavy, beefy, meaty game designs that he does. This, however, is on the lighter side. It feels a lot lighter. There's still that gateway sense of just trying to learn the game. It's a little much, and when you're playing it just solo, you have to learn the game. Then there's actually 2 AIs, but it's totally worth it, I think. There's 2 AIs to learn. You know, when you play this game multiplayer, if you play it 2-player, there's this 3rd AI that you have that kind of helps tighten up things, I guess. Her name's Sandra. She's a police inspector or something like that, borrowed out of Kanban, another Vito Lacerda game. So you have to learn how she works, and then also, too, you have to learn how Lieutenant Costa works. So there's a 3rd AI. And this reminds me of Euphoria. I saw this in probably the most effectively in Euphoria, where there's 2 AIs to run, and one that kind of runs interference, and then one you're trying to beat. I don't think this was as well done as Euphoria, but it's kind of an interesting. There's other games too that are there's another one, I can't think of it right off the top of my head, that does that. It has kind of a 3rd AI or 2. Tapestry. Tapestry is another one. And Tapestry had a solo variant where there was one AI opponent that was very easy to run and just kind of got in your way, and another one that you were trying to actually beat. And again, I think that Euphoria takes the cake where that is concerned, and as far as how well done it was. But this one was still on par with the Vito Lacerda solo variant. And nothing spectacular to write home about. In fact, I thought there was oddly some things that I'll bring up a little later that I just found kind of just disappointing, just from a production standpoint. But thematically, this game again is like all Vito Lacerda games where you're playing. You might even feel a little bit more. You get more into the theme because you're running around and you feel like you're trying to escape these cops that just keep showing up there, tracking you down, and you got to try to pull your money out of here. And then, you know, if you get certain contact cards that help you zip over to this side of the board, and it just feels like you're trying to escape this city. It does a very good job of bringing you into the game thematically. He kind of always does that. But this game is a little easier because it's just so visually, like, you're so in it, as opposed to some of his other, like Lisboa or Kanban, where it's just like this, you know, the boards are just like blah, just like there's so much to look at. Here, there's a lot on the outskirts at first, but it almost gives you a sense of because in the board there's only 2 tiles to work with to start with, and so it just doesn't look as insane as most of his other games. And so you can kind of, as you build the board out, it just looks less overwhelming to begin with, and so you can really get into that theme. The mechanics, this mechanics is just the best. I've not experienced a game of his like this, but the mechanics still have some of that Vito Lacerda flair to them that reminds me of other games, but there's enough here that's very different. And I feel like he took a chance with this game. He really kind of went outside of his comfort zone, and I appreciate that. And I don't know that this game got a lot of love as his other games have, but I know I have all the respect in the world for designers that can do that and that are willing to take that risk. And in this case, I enjoyed the game. You know, this is one of my favorites of Lacerda's? No, but it's probably somewhere in the middle, I guess. And I enjoy it for how fast you can play it, and even though it's one of his lighter games, it's still chunky enough to keep me interested. The variability here seems, I wouldn't say it's just like off the charts, but because you're going to get all the same buildings available every single game, just kind of in a different order, and it might change up. It's going to change up some things, but it does. The way you create the city varies each time, and it looks totally different. And you're gonna have access to buildings before you want it, and other access at the very end when you wish you had it. Maybe a little. Well, anyway, there's all sorts of when the way you build the board, you can't necessarily you have total control over what you want to visit first. So you have to change your strategy on the fly each day a little bit, quite a bit actually. So there's some variability there, but essentially it's the same. 9 buildings are going to come out, and the 3 exits that are going to come out, and the same grocery stores are going to come out, and you do the same stuff at each one, but it's just going to come out in different random orders on a different map. And so that's kind of where the variability is, I guess. So it's not off the charts like I feel like a game like Lisboa or On Mars can really be, but it's still got a good dose there. The length of play it's on the faster side. This is definitely on the faster side. An hour to play this game, and the pace is very quick, fast and furious. Trying to get out of the city. It's only 3 days, and some it can be even faster if you get to that 3rd day and you hit that exit right away. Game's over. Much faster than taking another extra couple turns. So it can be over in 45 minutes, really. So this is a fast Lacerda game, and I like that. It's fun to play something heavy-ish. Still, again, this is much lighter than I would say. It's kind of a 3 range for me, a low 3 maybe, as far as weight is concerned. And I've always said, Vito Lacerda games I think are unfairly rated too high, 4.5 plus, which I think does a disservice to his games and has a lot of people kind of going, oh, I don't want to, when all they need to do is get past that first big bump, trying to learn the game. But once you get it, he does it so, the designs are so beautiful that it really becomes intuitive, and you can just remember what you need to do, and there's just all these awesome, delicious decisions within that. But here, this is a much lighter game, and so it allows you to play a lot faster. The rule book is very well done for the base game, and much like his other games, the solo variant part, the rules for the solo variant are not so well done. It always kind of just leaves, there's just lots of little, there's almost an FAQ needed every single time for the solo variant, and hardly anything for the official rules. Official rules are almost always well done with his games, I feel like. So the rule book, it kind of gets a B because I just, the solo variants and the rules for the solo variants always just feel like it's sort of like whatever energy's left after designing this masterful game, whatever's left kind of goes into the solo variant. I wish it was more well done, but he is making corrections. He's allowing like David Turczi to do Kanban. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Solo parameters, this is unique for him to have 2 AIs to run. And I think it's one of the better tries, better attempts at a solo variant, but I still think it just falls short. Because really I've found that if I just follow Lieutenant Costa around, the way he moves around, it's kind of, I've played a number of times now, it just seems you're going to win more often than not if you just follow the guy around and don't even have to really pick a certain strategy. It takes the fun away from the game a little bit. So the way the solo again was done seems like you can grasp it, and there's too much that you can foresee that allows the game to be a little too predictable, and that's the same problem that you'll hear from many people who do reviews for his other solo variant games. And it's really no different here, I think. And I played the game 8 times now, I think, and so 7 or 8 times. And it just, the solo parameters are just very average feeling again. And but that's very normal for Vito Lacerda again. The scoring it's nice at the end. This is different too, is that there's no, there usually has a chart, and there's like 4 categories, 4 levels of victory, if you will. If you've completed this subset of things, you achieve this level of victory. If you've gone a few steps further in each of these subsets, you've achieved this level of victory. And there's usually not an opponent necessarily you're trying to beat. You're just trying to, you know, get within, well, there is, I guess, with On Mars and stuff. But anyway, it's that 4 levels of victory, kind of a common theme that runs throughout his solo games. It's not here in this game. There's just sort of win or lose. And if you win, if you end up escaping the city with more money than Lieutenant Costa, and if you don't escape the city or you don't have more money, you lose. Lieutenant Costa always escapes. So it's pretty straightforward as far as the scoring. You either win or lose based on that. And the value of this game, and I always comment on these Eagle Griffin, Vita Lacerda, that combination, and I still, you know, it's just still there. I still have the same issue. That issue is mainly, I just feel it's just like unnecessarily overdone. And I personally would be happy with just ratchet down the quality so I can enjoy this game at damn near half the cost, which is what I think I'm going to do, and I have yet to bust into it. CO2, Second Chance, I was able to get for less than half. And I'm curious, I'm going to be looking at those components and comparing them, and I'll bet you it's not half the game and or half the, you know, quality of components. I'll be willing to bet you. And that was put out by, I think, Stronghold Games. And I wish he would just go that route. But, you know, this Ian O'Toole, Vita Lacerda, Eagle Griffin thing is a combination, and I'm still buying them, so maybe there's something there, but I feel like these games could be way more accessible if they were done less expensively. And also, too, if they would get, I believe, a fair racket on their weight level. Because, and I've mentioned before, I see the weight for most Vita Lacerda games, and I think it's way overdone. And it's not because I think I'm some like awesome genius brainy player. No, I played a bajillion of games, you know, hundreds and hundreds of games, and this is just one where you just got to get past the learn curve, which is sharp in the beginning, but then you can just enjoy this game that kind of floats around. I would say most of his games float around a 3.9-4 weight, which is heavy, but not 4.5, 4.6 heavy. And this one is down, I feel like, in the lower 3. That's the way it feels to me. Anyway, so overall enjoyability, it's fun. It's fun, like on the same level of Vita Lacerda that I've just come to it's predictable. I just know I'm going to like his games. I love the design of his games. I find them to be genius in that arena. But the solo variant, again included with the game, is you know, average to subpar. It's just in today's the solo variants that you have available that are accessible, this ranks, the bar has been set much higher. And a solo variant like this, maybe 5+ years ago, would be ranked much higher. But the bar, due to David Turczi, due to Automa Factory, is just leaps and bounds still ahead of this solo variant. But enjoyable game, absolutely. And it would be, though, up to an individual whether it was really worth the money. And for myself, I gotta say, you know, it was worth it for me, but I would be hesitant to recommend this game for someone who, I just feel like you could put your money into a different game and have a better solo experience than this one. But that is kind of the way I feel about Vita Lacerda solo gameplay in general. So that's it. That's how I feel about yet another Vita Lacerda game. I think I have one more to go through. CO2 Second Chance. I think is the only one that I haven't played, the big box, heavy game. So looking forward to that. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. And let me know if you have any questions, comments, or whatever down below. And until next time, I'm Board Game Rants, and I'm out.